So, if you saw my last video, this thing's been driving great since. So I think it was genuinely the starter wire. But today, something a little more fun, at least for me. Not that I don't love this car, but we're gonna actually work on my favorite. We're gonna finally start working on Panama. Panama is my '69 Camaro. If you didn't know, this is the car I'm kind of known for. I'd say it's my favorite car. It was my dream car growing up, and we bought it in Panama City, Florida, hence the name. And it's been with me for, I don't know, a while, maybe 15 years at this point, which makes me sound really old, or feel really old. But it's been through 3 transmissions, 4 engines. It survived my high school stereo wiring days. So now that I'm getting a little older and a little more time and not really more money, but a little more attention to detail, I'm finally redoing some of the stuff that I did in high school and that the previous owner did, really. This car, I think, for a long time, it would like rattle and shake and leak, and it's time for some body work. I think that the previous owner was Picasso with Bondo. He basically made a '69 Camaro out of Bondo. Honestly, I'm not even mad. It was really impressive, but it's just time. I don't want a show quality car, but I want a car that I could still take to shows and daily drive. It's never gonna be the car that gets trailered to shows, anything like that. I wanna be able to daily drive this car. I wanna be able to drive it whenever, wherever, not worried. The only thing that's gonna kind of stop me from driving it all the time is I'm deleting the wipers, which I know sounds crazy, but if I get caught in a big rainstorm, I'm gonna pull over. I know I'm getting real specific, but I just like the clean look of the engine bay without that wiper motor. So I've actually got some plans for that later down the road. But for right now, we're gonna do some wiring on it, and I'm just gonna go around it and show you in kind of introduction to the car, but I'm gonna be doing a little wiring on it, and I'll show you what I did to make my life easier, and you can do the same thing. First things first, what everybody wants to see. Patrick. I put that on probably 10 years ago at this point, and it still makes me laugh enough to leave it there. So we got a smooth firewall. I've got a plate to go over that. That is, obviously I reinforced it with riv nuts, and it still flexed too much. The problem with, and why I'm deleting this, is you can kind of see in there, that whole cowl piece has a layer of Bondo on it. I don't know why, because if you go underneath the dash, the metal is fine. I don't know why he did that. I may end up going manual brakes, but for now these work. I do need to bleed my back brakes a little bit better. But 454 didn't obviously come in this car. This is the engine out of the Chevelle, which I think originally also came in a U-Haul box truck. So it's not an LS6, LS5, nothing like that. So it's good enough. It's got a T56 behind it, 6-speed, so I can drive it. I had a 4-speed, and it just did not like going above 55 miles an hour. Batteries are in the trunk. It's got a 3-pass radiator in it. More than enough. It does have AC, it does have heat, and it also doesn't have an interior right now. So, well, I'll also show you the battery wiring. Got one here and one here, going up through circuit breakers to there, which is a pass-through, goes under the car, all the way to the front. So 2 terminal blocks, positives, negative, which then run down to the starter, same way as the Chevelle. But for the body work, deleted the antenna hole. I'm gonna delete these because water gets in here, sits on the cowl, and then comes in the original fresh air vents. So from the factory, they had a lever you pulled and it would let fresh air in from that cowl. Well, I don't need that anymore because I have air conditioning, and that just lets water in. So I could make a plate for that, but I also just don't want water sitting in this cowl, in the fender well, anything like that. So I'm just gonna delete where they come in. I'm gonna cut these out and put metal plate in, fiberglass over it probably also, just to reinforce it. And yeah, so that's up here. Underneath, looks okay. I say okay, it's structural. I could nitpick this car and then I would never even drive it. So we need some work around here. I gotta do something about that. It had huge holes in the rockers. I mean, it was just rusted because of the water that comes in here actually goes down in your rocker and comes out of a hole. We're supposed to come out of a hole there. Well, that hole got blocked up. So GM thought it was a good idea to have like these airflow rockers, they call it. I've seen the literature for it one time, and air is supposed to come in here and flush out the rockers for when it rains. It doesn't work. So got that. All of this was rusted. I mean, it was bad. So the reason this car was up here, back before the tornado hit my house and destroyed everything, we'll get to that in another video. I was cleaning the back glass just kind of popped out. Well, because the urethane was actually just held to rust. There was no good metal here. So I've got a little bit of stuff I need to fix. I mean, it's a lot better than it was. The trunk pan was bad. I mean, I've got work to do still, but it's still in the rough process, and I'm far from a body man. So let's get in here and do some actual wiring, and then I'll also keep talking. All right, this may look like a mess to some people, but if you've never been behind the dash of one of these 50-year-old cars, you know that this isn't that bad. You'll also see some stuff that isn't stock. I'm gonna say this makes it so much easier to work on these cars than before, I would say. So you've got your main harness that comes from down there from your fuse box. This isn't an updated harness, this is the stock harness. It usually runs here. So this isn't the best location for this ground, but it works. This is actually my fan relay. I've got that wire pulled to ground through a sensor in the block. So that one's wired a little weird, to be honest. I used to have a switch that I would do my fans with, and it was pulled to ground. So I was like, well, I'm gonna need a relay, and yours probably is wired a lot simpler than that. I've got 2 relays powering my fans. This is just a big relay, so that when I turn the key, I have switched power here. Switched power is very hard to find on these cars because they only have about 3 wires that are really small. So if you ever need to hook up anything like a radio or anything really that needs to not have constant power, it's hard. So right now you see I don't have anything. Turn the key on, 12 volts. The way I did that, I took this wire here, which is a switched wire, and I believe it was the factory radio wire, which goes here. Yeah, so it was the yellow wire, the factory radio wire, power wire. I took that to power this big relay with, I believe that's 8-gauge wire. And then I also have constant power. This is constant from the battery going to here. Then I pulled from there. So I've got constant power here, switched power here, and a ground terminal also. So it just makes it look a little cleaner. This is the power wire, power and ground for my gauges. So I built this, me and my dad built this back in high school. It's not the cleanest thing in the world, but it's kind of sentimental because we made it, and it also is really expensive for a newer gauge. So today the goal is I'm just going to clean a little bit of this up. I'm actually not using, where are they? This is my wiper switch. So I'm going to try to, I don't know, get some good wire loom around this. I may have to move some wires and something like that. I've got vintage air here, flasher relay here. This is going straight to my constant power, which is my cigarette lighter. What else do we have? My neutral safety switch isn't wired in because I put in a kill switch, which it's easy to put a kill switch in. You've got your purple wire that comes from here that starts. well, that's how you start the car. I'm not gonna start it because I did this before and it'll shoot oil out at me. But if I crank it right now, it'll obviously crank. If you can interrupt this purple wire coming out of here, then it won't work. So just hide a switch up under your dash or something, or whatever you want to do, wherever you want to put it. But obviously you can see mine. I'm not going to go too much into detail because, I mean, the purpose of a kill switch is people don't know where it is. But I've just showed everybody. But yeah, I'm going to try to clean up some of this wiring today just to make me feel a little better about it. I've just got it temporarily zip tied here. But I do have some nice wire loom that's honestly too big. Here we go. This will work. See if I can get this around it and see what it'll look like. All right, I lied. So this works, but I just have so many branches off of this. Don't pay attention to this. Just put this back up in there. That I think is my right blinker. My front right blinker's not working. It's the only thing I have that's not working on this car right now. Knock on wood. So, but I've got all these wires here that I would have to shorten and make the same length, and there's not really a clean way to do that except for depin it from here. And this is from 1969. That's why I overlaid that one. I don't want to do all that, so I just did it nice and neat with zip ties. This looks messy, but this gets plugged into the lights for here. So that's the lights, so that they only come on when these lights are on. Here, that is my reverse lockout. It's my tack, oil pumps. I mean, all this stuff has places. So like this is gonna go to the gauges, this goes to the gauges, so that's nothing there. This is obviously my coolant. I really wish I had an electric one, not a manual one. Same thing with the oil. I don't like these copper lines. I mean, this one's already getting a little kinked right there. So I'm gonna try, I think, maybe to shorten it, cut it off right past there, but I know that these are hard to move. All this wiring's okay. I believe this is fuel gauge, which goes up here. Speedo, which goes here. Vintage air. So once this is back together, I mean, the wiring from underneath looks clean. You can't see anything, and you'll be able to get up here, and I'll be able to get to these if I need to from under the dash. So I'm gonna save this for here. I've got this big convoluted tubing on here right now, and that. Oh God, we're gonna fix that. I don't like this stuff. I've toyed with taking this off, but I mean, I think I'm being nitpicky about keeping the engine bay clean. Like, this side looks good. I do kind of want to run all this in something and get it up out of the way. You can't really see, but I've also got some wires up in here just running across. I do want to get that closeout panel that goes here. That way I don't have to worry about that. They're just expensive. I may make my own. But yeah, I think I'm going to save that for cleaning up some of this wiring that's in here. This has been a long time coming. And like I said, I may get rid of this horn relay. Although, if I remember correctly, there's some stuff that gets powered through that. Not sure. Oh, that's the fan relay, the stock fan relay, which it works, so I'm not going to mess with it. I may relocate it up a little bit. But yeah, all this stuff needs to get figured out what that is and plugged up. That may be why my right blinker's not working. I don't know. There's all kinds of plugs up in here. Yeah, I'm a little bit more nitpicky with wiring than that, so I'm gonna save that for that. In the meantime, I think I'm going to cut this, mount my gauges back up, because that should be okay. I'm gonna see if my radio fits, and I need to do some rib nuts in here to hold the gauge in, or the dash in. I've got them up here, put them in, and they hold fine. I just don't have them up there. I think there's supposed to be two clips here that hold it with these, but I kind of just now realized that I'm missing those, like, as I've been working on it this time. So I'm not 100% sure. I think I could just remedy that by putting screws in here. I'm just worried about the radio hitting it. This car's never had a radio in it. Besides, like, I had one hidden up here. I had to like reach under my dash to adjust it. It was a pain. So I'm actually gonna get a center AC vent this time. I kind of do want to zip tie some of these up. It's only 2 wires, but I don't know. I may do something with that. But I'm gonna see if I can cut this. I think I had an extra ferrule somewhere. maybe. If I don't, then I'm gonna see if I can move that one backwards. But usually, these are like a one-time use kind of thing. They crush, you can't really move them. Yeah, no, I can't move it. So, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that yet. I mean, I may just push it back, put it on where it needs to go, and not really worry about it. I mean, that doesn't look bad. Let's see if I can slide this in here and see where these rib nuts need to go. This is a pain. I mean, I get that they need to make it long, like so it's universal, but that's insane. Yeah, I think I'm just going to push this back, make sure it doesn't kink. Not one to kink shame, but I mean, I don't like it in my lines. As long as it doesn't bend in that same spot it has been bending, I think I'll be okay. There we go. There's that. Just make sure none of these get pinched as I'm putting it in. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this. There's no good way to move that. It's as good as it's gonna get right there. Oh, my light. Oh no. Wow, that is dusty. Okay. One thing I did forget is my AC vent, which is this one, I think. No, this one. I think this is it. I think. I ran the wires where my AC vent went. I don't think I thought about it. This is a vintage air kit in this thing, and I will say I've not had it out and about like in a hot day, or on a hot day I should say, but it seems to have worked really well on other cars that I put it on. Where does this even go? I'll have to look at the diagram to see which one it goes to. But it's on. Yeah, label your wires. If you're anything like me, you think you're going to remember them and you don't remember them. I think this is going to look fine once it's all together. And I think that's it. My oil gauge needs to get screwed in, but oh yeah, my reverse lockout slash reverse lights. Don't judge me, but I wired in my reverse lights to my reverse lockout because I couldn't figure out how to get them to work correctly. So now I just have reverse lights on a switch. But I mean, if it works, it's not stupid, right? You don't know, most modern transmissions won't let you go into reverse while you're going down the road. So they have a reverse lockout. Reverse lockout usually works. Yeah, pay no attention to how mangled this transmission tunnel is, but the reverse lockout usually kicks in. It's like speed related, so it won't let you go into it unless you're sub, I don't know, 2 mile an hour, something like that. But I just wired it up to there, switched, so now I can go in reverse. And I wired in my reverse lights to that. Simple fix. So now I have reverse lights, but they're operated through that, which is not the correct way, but I mean, to me, I'm not going to be going in to reverse, and I'm not going to have this on without them both, you know, I'm not going to have that on without going into reverse. So now it's not fully mounted, but this is my gauge layout. So we've got water temp here, oil pressure here, obviously tach, speedometer, fuel gauge, volts. Volts, I'm rarely ever going to look at. That's why I kind of tucked it here. You're not really going to see it. Oil pressure is important to me. Water temp is important to me. Tach and speed, got to have that. So I do have one issue. It looks like my fuel gauge, for some reason, either I've got no fuel in this thing or it's not working. I think the quickest thing to do would to be go get some fuel, put in it, and just see if that moves. I did want to fix this. This is a radio plate that has been glued over a really rough cut hole. I didn't do that, to be fair. I'm hoping that my radio is still gonna mount in there. It looks like it ain't even gonna fit because, I don't know, I don't think a radio is gonna fit in that. It looks like it's just gonna hit this bar. I don't know yet. I'm not tackling that right now. I do need to get another switch to put here, reverse lockout, and I don't know what I'm gonna have there, but it's gonna look better than a hole. This obviously doesn't do anything anymore. Light switches, I mean, that works, which is nice. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to tackle this wiring, clean that up a little bit. All this is okay. We're good here. I do want to put that plate on, although right now that plate, I tried to paint match that plate blue, and it actually doesn't look that far off on camera, but I can assure you, when you put it up to here, it looks very out of place. So I'm thinking it's just gonna be black. It's gonna be a lot less noticeable. So I'm gonna take this down, sand it, prime it, paint it black, put that on, tackle that wiring. But first, I think you deserve to hear it run. And don't get your hopes up. I don't know how, but I may have created the world's quietest 454. So we've got 82 degrees on the header, 83 degrees on the headers, right? And just to prove it, the ground's 81, so it doesn't get much more of a cold start than that. Well, not cold, but ambient. I'm gonna try it without pumping it and really attempt to show off here. You can't be too mad at that. Why is my tack not working? That's what I get. That is what I get. Maybe because I never hooked it up. Oh no, the AC duct pulled it out. But got good oil pressure. What I was talking about, really quiet 454. And that's not me trying to brag. That's just saying, I feel like 454s should rumble and sound aggressive. I got a big block that sounds like a straight 6. Got the tack working. It had just unplugged it. The rattling is the exhaust. It's hitting on the fender back here, but that's a pretty tame sounding 454 in my opinion. I think that needs to be fixed. Yes, I'm sitting on the floor. Don't judge me. I just wanted to talk about the car with something pretty to look at in the background. So I've already said my goals with this car are to be able to take it to shows, to drive it on road trips. I want to go up to the tail of the Dragon, which is, I don't know, about maybe 3 hours north of us here. I don't plan for this to be a track car. I don't plan to ever take it down the strip. I don't plan to do, nothing but car shows with it. I want this thing to be, driven daily. It won't necessarily be my daily driver, but I want to be able to be my daily driver. So the only things that would, I think, stop me from doing that is the carburetor and the lack of windshield wipers. So I do have a plan with an old Volkswagen Jetta, I believe it is. It's an 85 Volkswagen wiper motor. So with this wiper motor, I made this little bracket, didn't come with this, but this can actually sit in the cowl in there, and you can use this instead of the one that goes on the firewall. My cowl is so weak right now because the guy, like I said, the guy that had it before me, he made a lot of stuff out of Bondo when it wouldn't have taken that much. It honestly would have been easier for him to just make it out of metal. I don't know, maybe he didn't have a welder, I don't know. But this car's body is probably a solid 7 out of 10 now, and I'm going to try to make it an 8.5 out of 10. Back on the road, be done. It looks a little rough right now. So we got this car in 2006, 2007, I believe. And I was given this car by my dad in high school with the story of basically, you know, if you can, you know, finish it, you can keep it, kinda. So I took a 327, built it, didn't know anything about building engines, put it in the car, and it ran great for a long time. Needed to do an oil pan gasket. Pulled the oil pan off just to clean it, wanted to be smooth, could not get it off, couldn't get it off. Finally realized if I took the oil pump down, dropped it, and I could get it all out as an assembly. Well, when I went to go back in with the oil pan, it went on really easy, and I was like, man, that was a lot easier than going off. I've been fighting it for so long, I totally forgot. Cranked it up, and I'm on a lift at this point, and I look over and I'm like, it's making a lot of noise, and the new oil pump is still sitting in the box. So ruined that engine. I still got that engine. I plan to rebuild it and probably just keep it because it's the first engine I ever built and destroyed. So I put a 350 in it in the meantime, and it was just kind of a placeholder engine. I mean, 350s, I think I got it for like $400, like a full assembly, like carburetor, everything. Now you can't, but then I did. Then when we did the LS swap in the Chevelle, I wanted the big block. I've always liked big blocks. I think they fill up the engine bay way better. And a 454 69 Camaro is just cool. I know they never came in the car, but 427s are really hard to find. 396s are decently hard to find. And I believe that's all that came in it. I could be wrong. 454s never came in them, I don't think. So it's nice to have something in there. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think 454s came in 69 Camaro. So I don't want to LS swap it. If I did anything, it'd be an LT4. I just think LS, to me at this point, there's no point. And like I said, this car is never going to be a drift car, track car, anything like that. I want to just have fun with it. So the next steps with this car are body work, paint, interior back in it, and drive it. That's kind of where we're at. So I'm going to work a little bit longer. I think I may finish the video here. Just wanted to kind of do an update as to what to expect in this car. If you guys want to see anything specific with this car, let me know. I plan on doing a lot of different stuff. I want to modernize it, so it's going to get a lot of love here in the future. And then after that, I've got a Trans Am, a 55 Chevy, and a 41 Ford that I'm going to get on. 41 I'm probably going to sell. I'm not a Ford guy, obviously. But I think I'm going to end this video here. I don't really have, I mean, the stuff that I'm doing is just putting wire loom and cleaning up some wires. And I think when I tackle the exhaust, I'll bring you guys back. But for now, this is just like a short little, here's Panama. Expect more soon. So I appreciate you guys watching. If there's anything you guys want to see specifically, or any tutorials or anything that you see that I've done that you want to know how to do, or anything that I've done that you are like, hey, you shouldn't be teaching people that, then I'll definitely make a video on it and teach people anyways. But until then, let me know what you want to see. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff that YouTubers say to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.